the new ones in town as well. Where did they come from? The crazy old guy who's just inventing things and making explosions?
Well,
This man
Paris.
who is making bombs in his house. You're telling me should not be locked away?
Spin syllables, soliloquies so simple as these. It's Forget It Rappin', a podcast with a purpose. I'm King Cooper here with Alex, Flizzo, and the Ben. The Ben is going to join the podcast more often, so I figured we should get to know him better. Today, we'll see what makes him tick without showing his talk. The Ben hosting the show while I was gone gave me a voice to push through. He stays hype. I need the Ben in my head to keep me at this speed. I used to love Benny. I even had that pink polo. I thought I was Benny. Man, that was so Benny.
I mean, it was pretty Benny.
There's also a pretty appropriate song you could have chosen.
Which one's that?
Graduation.
Ben and Lisa
I wanted
Simpson
to
are the
start
only
doing
people with a
some
song.
more sound scheme raps rather than
Jackson's song about
lyrics.
us.
This is from Ye's Every Hour on Jesus is King. Every hour, every minute, every second, each and every millisecond. We need more. Sing till the power of the Lord comes down. Breaking and rapping. You must choose one. How would you define that?
I think you need the synthesizer reverb thing on there.
Yeah, that would be a good
Round it
addition.
I thought your dog was going to come.
You know what's
Is that howling like a hound dog?
Winnie.
what's
Winnie.
real funny is when you mention graduation, you can tell what kind of generation someone is from if they think Kanye or if they think Vitamin C.
Is that a rapper?
No.
They
It's a
were-
lady. She made the song Graduation that came out in 2000.
Yeah, but
Oh, is it 2000?
I don't think anybody really thinks of
Yes.
that after
I
Kanye West
only
album.
think of that.
I mean,
Really?
That
I
I
mean, I don't
graduated
know it.
grade school in 2000. That was the song that played for everything for like 7 years. Like people were like, "Oh yeah."
graduation.
As we go on, we
Late registration was
remember.
2004. What was graduation? 2006? I want to say.
Well,
Yeah, see?
yeah, I think I remember hearing
5 maybe.
Power
Yeah.
or not Power. What was that?
That's
the hit on that album? Graduation.
Stronger.
No.
Stronger,
College
yeah.
Dropout, I thought was 2004.
that's the first one. Yeah, that's 2004 years dropout, but that's the first one.
Yeah, and then
late
then
registration.
late
Yeah.
registration's next.
Next, and then
So that's
graduation.
Like 2006.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see? So
I think
Vitamin C had the
Graduation's like
cover
9.
of Graduation covered for
Yeah,
6-7
let's see.
years.
Yeah,
And-
that's Power. So yeah.
2 generations.
I recently learned that ooh is Elton John just doing a little riff while he was playing piano at a concert. But while we were going down some ancient history, I've got Shakespeare prepared. And I mentioned it last week. This is King Polonium giving advice for life in Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 3. Look thou, character, give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. Those friends thou hast, and their adoption tried, grapple them on to thy soul with hoops of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new hatched, unfledged comrade. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, bear it that the opposed may beware of thee. Give every man thine ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censor, but reserve thy judgment. This above all, to thine own self be true. Now I can go through a couple of those. If you guys didn't catch any that spoke to you, like be familiar but not vulgar. So like friendly but not cursing, not touchy-feely.
It sounds a lot like talk less, smile more. Don't let them know what you're standing for.
Or
Sure, I can
what
accept
about
that.
speak softly but carry a big stick type deal?
Yeah, similar, because he said like avoid quarrel, but if in one, bear it and make the opposed beware, which would be the
so
big
it's like,
stick.
all right, don't try to get into a fight, but if you get into one, make that guy regret it.
Yeah.
To remain silent and thought an idiot than to remove all doubt.
Talking about getting in fights, thinking about the Ben's childhood. Is it true, the Ben, that you were born a poor black child?
No.
Okay.
I feel like that is too old of a reference for anyone to get.
You got it.
I-
Older than
Had-
me.
Well, yeah,
Steve
it's
Martin.
the start of the Steve
Yeah,
Martin's The Jerk.
is that the jerk? Is what we're
Yeah.
referencing?
Yeah, but one of the greatest comedies. One of my favorite bits is all
One of
I
the
need
greatest
is...
comedies.
The
don't know, what
jerk
would
is
you
a
say the
funny
greatest
movie.
comedy
Someone
is?
really
On that
hates
one.
these cans.
Yeah,
They're shooting all these
Hey,
cans.
It's hard to
The
say
Jerk
any
is a
comedies
very
are
good
good.
movie. What?
Superbad's
No.
pretty good.
Airplane is funny.
Yo,
There-
Superbad is the best.
That's. But
After seeing Superbad, my friend Michael, like he saw it before me, and he's like, "Yo, man, this is a movie that's like all of those stories you hear about parties. Not like we've done any of these things. Just like, oh, these
Yeah.
are what people talk about, and it's exciting. It's like, wow,
And then
we're
then
lame.
Project
Air-
X was like the same thing, but just took it a little further. Probably for Generation Extreme.
I think, yeah, Project X was like a gratuitous version of Superbad. Where
Superbad
it's
is
kind
just
of like,
a
oh, we need to go
hangover for kids.
over
Soul.
the top.
I don't know
Soul
how I
Plane?
was confusing Airplane with Soul Plane.
Soul Plane.
I think of
Soul
Snakes on a
Plane is
Plane.
Came out like
actually
in
not
relation to
that
30 years
bad.
apart.
No, Soul Plane
Yeah,
is a
Soul
good
Plane
movie.
is
It's one
pretty
of like
good.
the
Yes.
Yeah.
If you watch
The-
Soul
the most
Plane, it
popular
is actually a
movies.
good movie. Airplane,
Well,
and then
that's-
Airplane 2 is just a ripoff of Airplane. Just go to Mars instead.
That's all good to know. Getting back to some written, Ben,
Wait.
in episode 32, you had a line, is honesty really the best policy? Tell me the truth. I can handle it. Now, I think that was a prepared line and that it was good. The boys have expressed a desire for me to have less written material. I considered it, then thought that it is you bringing me down, and I need to bring you guys up by demanding more written material. I don't care if I make a good show. I want to make a good show, as in a show for good. So was that line written? You can tell me. I can handle it.
I don't write things down.
So are you kind of questioning why we would want unscripted versus scripted?
Yeah.
No, I think I did question it and then just decided.
And then he put his foot down and said, "This is what I'm gonna do."
Well, I
No,
decided
I'm gonna
what do
write
I want? Like, do I want a conversation or do I want to?
I want to yell into the void.
Yeah.
Well,
Otherwise,
I mean,
you
that is
can't
the aim.
have a conversation with people if you're only given canned responses. I mean,
So I think of it more as like a pen pal situation, and that's why I provide you guys with the notes, and then you can think of a thing you want to say. Or even you could provide me with something you want to say, and then I would provide notes based on that, rather than
You
us
just-
doing it in real time.
you just
Well, I like to
described
shoot from the hip.
Mad Libs.
Yeah.
You just want to make a Mad Libs, is what you're saying. So
I
give a
mean,
noun,
Mad Libs
an
are fun.
adjective, and
We're all
Okay.
mad down here.
Well, yeah, and so that's
You're just
that's
trying
the
to make a-
basis of sketch comedy, right? Or
Yeah,
improv
we're
comedy.
Improv comedy.
Somebody
I mean,
shout out
hey,
an
what-
adverb.
I
Hey,
only live a quarter mile at a time, so I can't prepare.
You can
Live
always
your mile, a quarter mile at
like
a time.
what's
You-
going on in the
Quarter
back
mile
of your
at a time.
head all day long.
walking
you could
quarter
be
mile?
writing jokes and
Wait,
jokes and what's that?
I do not have a constant flow. And it always throws me off when people are like, "Oh, I hear music in my head all day," and I was like, "How? What?" Like,
What do you
there's
have
just
silence? You think?
sometimes.
Huh.
Yeah, you just sit there and just can exist.
What about you two? Same or no? I never have silence.
Yeah, it's never silence.
The Ben.
Silence is bad.
Well, if it's silence, then there's something visually going on, which sounds weird.
Oh.
but
I legit
Well, yeah,
have the
it's-
ability to just sit and like.
I
Yeah,
like
makes
Super
sense.
Mario speed runs so that just like flashy things are happening and then silence.
like
You
if
just said you
if there's
can't-
silence, then I'm thinking of like it's me doing something that I need to do, and I'm picturing how to do that.
Mhm.
So silence
See,
is
that's
bad.
planning ahead. If you don't plan ahead, there's nothing to think. They just
The
like you
Ben,
just
why
exist.
do you feel silence is bad?
Just sit there in silence with your own thoughts and nothing. Just like
Is that
being in absolute
relaxing?
nothingness.
Well, I think some
Not
people
at
might say it's
all.
relaxing, just sitting in silence.
I mean, it's like
I don't
it's
know.
unexisting almost. Like I don't know if it's
Well, yeah.
relaxing
But
because you're not relaxing
sometimes
either.
you sit
You're
in-
just
you'll sit in silence, and then you'll think of something like, "Hey, remember in 7th grade when you said that really stupid thing in front of like the whole class?"
Nah.
That's
So,
what
like-
I said that one
That's
meme
what
that was
happens
sent
to-
of. No, the one meme that when you just all of a sudden remember something funny that happened to your friend years ago, you just start
But
laughing.
there was this-
Yep, that's exactly.
There's this one group of
I sit in
shorts
that
where it's like this
situation.
guy gives you today's objective or mission, and like they're supposed to be obscure things. And I remember one of them specifically because it was like today's mission is to tell a group of people that you have to go to the bathroom, but then don't do anything about it. And I was like, oh, I do that all the time. I'll be like, oh, I gotta go pee, and then just like not get up because it's just like, oh, I'm just making the statement that exists of the thing that I have to do, but I just don't
have to,
have
but
to do it.
it's not an emergency yet. So, yeah.
But you've
in case
never
anybody's
just like
wondering what's going
went
on
like,
in
oh,
life.
I'm gonna get up and turn off the TV, and then just not get up, and then just end up sitting there for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's usually when it's silent in the void.
Yeah, exactly. You just like sit there, and you're just like,
Like, oh, I should go to sleep, and then 3 hours later, after watching all of the videos that you've been sent through the course of the day, like, oh, it's midnight. I have to get up at 5 a.m. I should go to sleep.
Yeah, cell phones are a heck of a drug. The Ben and Alex choosing items like a microphone or sleep mask from Kickstarter is a statement. You believe in a small startup to have a better product, maybe liking the experimental. An alternative process could be going with Amazon's best reviewed. Do you think of when you use Kickstarter that you're making that statement of like, because that's why I asked when you first got
Not
that
anymore.
microphone. Why? Not anymore. Why?
Kickstarter definitely used to be like, oh, we're
Now
building
it's
a
more like
company,
a storefront.
Now it's now it's like a large company like Cool Mini or Not, which is like a huge board game company, will just release all of their new games through Kickstarter. It's like you have the money. You
I
don't
just
have
saw
to
a
do
big
this.
company, like, or a mid-level company that's like popular, post something on Kickstarter and it gets sold through there. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought it's supposed to be for like the little guy.
And
like,
yeah,
hey, I don't
that's
have
what
enough
it's
money to
supposed
get
to
this
be for.
started.
Well, yeah, and
I
is
mean,
it
I may have
still
backed
we
it.
don't have this product yet, and we need you to pay for it before we make it, or is it
Usually.
just
Basically,
No,
buying
it's
our
like
they
product?
want to like.
It should be they made it. They just can't produce it on a large scale. That's what the Kickstarter is for.
Usually it's to get even basic production going. I mean, there are some
sometimes
that...
it's
for
that
like
where
small
I don't like
companies,
that one.
Oh,
That's
you
like
don't
that's
like
a
to
big
wait.
gamble because you're like you don't
Well,
have
don't
an
wanna
actual
wait.
there are
product. You have a
Kickstarters that
concept.
you've gambled.
You don't want to wait 4 years to get something and then get it and like, oh
Yo,
yeah,
I've
done
I
that
Kickstarted
many
It's
times.
awful because
a
they just
nail.
legally had to put out a product.
They
I
don't have to.
Kickstarted. No, they don't. Kickstarter
Oh,
tells you that
well,
your product might never exist and your money
Good
will
for
never
them,
get back to you.
I guess.
But
Yeah,
we
I
Kickstarted a nail
got
station.
one time.
But I Kickstarted a nail
Yeah.
station in 2018 that was supposed to be done in 2019, 2020. I have yet to get it.
Did you say a nail
But
station?
they are still, like you put your fingernail in and
Not
it like
for him.
scans it and then like it will brush. Yeah, now I mean,
Ah,
I might for this have purple and black nails, but like you never know. But like it's been 5 years and I've yet to get it. But they keep sending emails like, "Hey, we are still going with production and we'll get to this. Like your order will
Well,
come in a year."
At least they're communicating, which is
yeah,
good
it's nice.
because there's oftentimes you'll get they do not communicate. And some things I've gotten that have companies that become big. The cameras I have, and then Anchor. I bought Anchor has stuff on there. They do. Who then like they make all the
did Anchor
external
start
batteries
off like that?
They might have. They actually own the company that owns makes the cameras I have. It's like Iffy or Oofy or something. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
like
but-
EF.
So the problem with Kickstarter becomes things like Cool Mini or Not, where they're like, oh,
They're too
you can
big.
get an exclusive Kickstarter model for $15. So all 2,000 people or 200,000 people pay an additional $15 for this model that costs them maybe $1 to make. So their overhead, they're getting so much extra profit through Kickstarter that they wouldn't get if they sold this through retail.
We need to start a Kickstarter. I want to make a flannel. The
It's
Ben,
only
you've
like
lost a lot of weight in your
$2.89.
life. Do you know a number of the pounds of
My
like
tape
I
measure?
lost X? What's a tape measure?
Oh, I got an awesome tape measure off Kickstarter.
That is a nice tape measure.
The tape measure is awesome.
They're a real
making another
company
one.
now too. So
They have another
so I
Kickstarter
see
going, too.
ads for that as not a Kickstarter, but as a
Why are you
buy
guys talking
off
about a tape
retail.
measure?
Because
Tape
it
measures
is
are
cool.
awesome.
Talking
We're
about
still on
talking about
Kickstarter
body
stuff.
fat.
weight, yeah, body fat. And I want to know if your mental image of yourself is at that weight, because my mental
How
image
did you
of myself
kickstart your weight loss?
is your guys' little brother. So like my mental image is not of who I look.
You're always
time
gonna
out before we
be
get
your
on to Ben's
little
topic.
brother.
I know.
But for
Well,
that,
yeah.
for what Chris is saying,
Like
what Chris
12,
is saying,
I guess.
when I stand next to the Ben and Flizzo and Josh, I feel so short. I am taller than Josh.
Yes,
but when I'm with
Josh
the
should
three
feel
of them,
short.
mentally, I become what Chris is saying. Like in my mind, it's like, oh, I'm the younger one because like I've known you guys since high school as a group of people. So it's like I'm the tinier, younger brother. Is where in my mind, like, is what I see myself as. So I understand what Chris is saying.
Is I the only one that was full grown in 6th grade?
Nah, I was 6 foot in 6th grade.
Okay, that's like
but I was always smaller than you guys. Level. It was like I was smaller.
You're the tallest.
Well, I know, but it's like I was smaller than you until I like hit 17 and I left home.
Until I wasn't.
And well, no, but then it was like then there's a large gap. And it never really got rewritten. It's not like I kept seeing you regularly.
Even if it gets rewritten, when you're in that situation, because like if I'm hanging out with Jerry, I automatically be like, oh, I'm tinier, like I'm smaller than Jerry. He's the dominant force, even though like he's not dominant in that situation. It's like I'd be the enforcer,
He's an adult.
But it's like, oh, I still second to Jerry without a thought. Like it's like, yep, nope, he's an adult
because
that's why I'm asking
adult.
The Ben's mental image.
Does he still see himself as that high school kid?
Do I see myself as
with the trench coat and the sunglasses?
Still the sunglasses. Yeah.
I have a few
but there's
pairs
such
of sunglasses.
better sunglasses.
Mutton chop and a ponytail.
Those are pretty good sunglasses. That pony, I did that again in grad school. I did the ponytail again. I brought that back.
Oh, that's nice.
That's when I had the top knot.
And so you moved away from the color black as like an overarching thing. Do you think that was part of your love for bad guys? And now I want to talk about what makes a bad guy.
So did we skip in the weight loss, or we?
Well, you never gave an answer.
I don't have
want
an
to
answer.
talk about it? Yeah, so there's
no
answer.
Talk
Moving
about.
on.
I was
Do you want to talk about bad guys?
Don't like bad guys more. I'm sorry.
They're not bad. They're just misunderstood.
No, they're well-developed characters. I prefer the more fleshed-out character, and then people consider them bad because there's a story behind them, versus the bland, unexplained.
Well, no. So technically, if you go far enough back, they're not flushed out.
Well, so like
Hamlet's
bad guys where they're just bad guys to be bad guys. It's like they don't have no motivating factors. They don't have any backstory. They don't have any emotion. I'm just bad to be bad. I like to destroy things, to destroy stuff. And then it's
that's dark side.
There's some that like you see the progression, or at least the story tells the progression of how they got that way, and you're like, okay, I kind of get it. It's like, all right, they're still the bad guy, but I understand why they came to that conclusion.
Killmonger.
I think the most recent one I can think of is the Black Panther movie.
Killmonger
was a good progression. Killmonger. It was like, all right,
Killmonger.
You see his story, and like you see how he got, like he's still the bad guy, but you still see how like that character is developed and how that
it's like
how he's like.
So if we were to take the classic Beauty and the Beast, Gaston isn't more developed. They have the exact same amount of development. It's just that the Beast's background has more questions than answers.
The Beast's background
Gaston's
is much worse than
super
Gaston's.
The Beast, like some lady showed up at his house when he was like 12. And he didn't let her in,
more
and she cursed him.
than ansers.
Yeah,
you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Whereas Gaston's just like, I'm a hunter and I kill things.
He kidnaps people and locks them away. He's forced his servants into this life of being furniture, and then he has a whole wing full of destroyed furniture. Did he get rid of servants that way?
See, more questions than answers.
Bad questions. Gaston protects the city from wolves. He's the lead hunter.
Gaston ruins that city. He eats 5 dozen eggs a day.
That's the only thing Gaston. The only negative thing Gaston has done is raise the egg prices. Because there is a scene in the beginning where the lady is saying, "I need 3 eggs," and he says that's too expensive. Because Gaston is eating 5 dozen eggs. Yes, he has raised egg prices.
But nobody's going
to be
hungry in the town, though. They're all well fed. You don't see homeless people around.
The library is giving away books.
Chicken.
there's a baker giving out bread. No, yeah, and then he's hunting ducks. He has a bag full of geese that they can go feed all those people with. Gaston
but
cares
if they
about
kept the geese
consent.
and let them lay eggs, he could get more eggs.
He cares about consent. He is very big on that.
Gaston is bad for the economy.
But was he reaching his breaking point with consent?
Economy.
Well, no, because he never. He did break into her house.
Yeah. Well,
no, he did break into her
lock up her dad. So that's what I'm thinking is that Belle is the protagonist.
He prevented her dad from getting locked up. Yeah,
no,
everyone else
he locks up her dad by telling her she's crazy. And he calls the mental institution on her dad.
Yeah,
and says, if you don't marry me, I'm going to have him thrown in jail.
And he pays a guy to take him away.
He should have. Yeah. No, he was already, but should have already been locked up, as they referred to him as crazy old Maurice.
I think Chris is right. Yeah. Gaston reached a point where he broke, and stopped being acceptable.
They're the new ones in town as well. Where did they come from? The crazy old guy who's just inventing things and making explosions?
Well, he made a car and they drove there.
This man who is making bombs in his house, you're telling me should not be locked away in the mental asylum? The one
that's why you move out to the provincial town, is so that you have room for explosions in your house.
Her song is these people are dumb and boring.
Well, that's why I think she came from Paris.
This is your hero who opens the movie by saying, I'm better than all these stupid people?
The other thing as protagonist, antagonist is what I think versus like good guy, bad guy. And so it's, I don't know, more so like protagonist is moving the story forward and antagonist is...
The real hero of Beauty and the Beast is Lumiere?
What?
Lumiere was, yes.
Lumiere is the real hero of Beauty and the Beast.
He is the hero of the Beast story, yes. He is the reason that they get together.
If anything, he moves the plot along.
So do you have any other examples of like protagonists that are actually bad, or could be seen as bad guys?
Simba's a bad guy. He was a straight bad guy.
He abandoned his family.
Yeah. But he controls the weather, so...
To Mufasa that you want to talk about.
As soon as Simba found out he's going to become king, he starts demanding things, literally sings a song about the stuff he's going to order people to do.
Or 6 or something. Children do that all the time.
And that's why Zazu is saying, like, well, it's a good thing you're not king. Because
they become bad rulers when they do that.
Well, yeah.
But like...
But he grew up.
He abandons his responsibility, runs away to go hang out with his friends, comes back to beat up an old man,
off blue
an old lion.
But wait, in this same argument...
He didn't run away to hide from or hang out with his friends, though. He ran away because he thought he killed his father.
He was going to get unalive.
Ran away from responsibility, just hangs out, and then comes back. He hangs out with the food that they should be consuming.
So again, what we're saying is,
from eating.
In Disney movies, we're all looking at them from the wrong perspective, and the secondary, tertiary characters are really the protagonists. Like in this one, Zazu would be the Lumiere of the Lion King.
I don't like.
He keeps everything on track.
So wait, here's a random one. You ever see the movie The Professional?
Leon the Professional?
Yeah, Leon the Professional.
Then yes.
Okay.
No.
He's an assassin. He's like a teenage girl.
Natalie Portman?
Yeah.
No, she's like...
He's like...
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
the guy with the flower pot.
I think he's French as well.
Is he in the
so it can be argued
balding.
that guy's a bad guy, but he's also the protagonist.
Yeah.
I mean, they do bad things.
Well, that's what I want to say with like the Beast and Gaston thing. It's like that they're both antagonists, but it was about character development. Who improved themselves? Gaston seemed to make himself worse, where Beast made himself better.
Beast really make himself better?
I don't know. He fulfilled the prophecy by having a single person love him. And then same with Simba. It's like he made a mistake and he came around to it. And so that's sort of the
Simba
motion of
he should have left the pride and gone off and started
it really seems
pride.
Like the argument here is that Disney movies aren't good.
I mean,
if
we're talking about Mufasa, then I can start talking about that. And
they're not good for adults. They're good for kids.
Wait, time out. Character development, Stitch. Stitch has the best character development.
Stitch comes around. He starts off as a bad guy, as he has bad
he starts
actions.
off as a bad guy and comes back to caring for his family and not wanting to do harm.
Stitch learns from his actions and develops. So he does. Stitch comes
that's
along.
character development.
That's the early Disney movies versus newer ones. They develop much more of it through things. Maui in Moana, Maui goes from being a bad, which also the character of Maui in Samoan culture, I guess, or whichever
The trickster.
Would it be
culture.
Polynesian?
Polynesian, yeah, I guess that would be. I don't know the general term for all of that, because each island has their own. They have their different versions of Maui and stuff and all the stories. But yeah, he does all that stuff. But he was trying to please humans.
Mm-hmm. What I want to say about why these movies are bad, like especially Mufasa, is that they're not really made for Americans to watch. It's not made for English speakers. So it's just pretty things happening. So no need for a story. Just have AI pump it out anyway. And it's just a pretty thing, because I saw a thing about China, and there's a sentence that these people on these floors, sunlight is a luxury. So if you're living in that kind of existence, to watch The Lion King live action is like the best thing you can experience, even though it's on your phone. And so that's what those movies are made for now. That's where the money is.
The highest grossing animated film of all time.
Yeah.
No, he's talking about the new one. The
new one.
Yeah,
Okay.
the live action Lion King is an animated movie.
It's the highest
is it
grossing
an animated movie?
film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no live action in that movie.
It's called. It's the highest grossing animated film of all time.
What they call
realistic. It's not listed as live action real movie. It's animated because they're all CGI. Like it's one of those weird little things.
They stopped drawing because they said it was like too expensive and labor intensive, and I think they spend way more money doing the CGI stuff. Anyway, please take a moment to subscribe or follow the channel. Alex, did you ever remember what was wrecking your week?
I mean, I don't really remember, but I'm just gonna go with
So you're a good boy now.
Depression.
Seasonal depression is ruining your next 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, basically, right? Like, is that not? I think that's like it's getting dark early now, and then it's colder.
Just makes your head hurt, your bones hurt, joints.
Can't get that vitamin D.
You leave for work, it's dark. Come home from work, it's dark.
It's 40 degrees at 5:30 in the morning. That's cold.
Yeah, it was.
Who goes outside?
There was ice on my windshield this morning.
I get home at that time, so yeah.
I'm a crazy person that goes outside at 5:30 in the morning before the sun.
Do you run outside at 5:30?
Yeah.
Why?
It's not good for your knees.
Do you do it because you're crazy?
I'm crazy.
So are you like punching yourself in the head while you do it? Like, you are the crazy Ben.
I don't want to more concussions.
Well, so why are you doing it? Health reasons to live longer?
To be better than Ben. Can't let
that
myself
makes sense.
Win. Well,
that's not a very crazy thought.
I only start running because Alex had to prove a point.
See, Alex, this is what we...
I had to prove a point because you started running.
Well, this is what we need.
Didn't want to do it.
What? Why are you guys not trying to prove points with the podcast and be kingly? Let's zero in, Xander, and make an adjustment, Alex.
Explain why you started running.
Explain why you started running, Alex.
So Ben started running, and then he ran a 5K, and he's like, "Oh, this is my time." And I was like, "You know what? I could run a 5K in 30 minutes. I do manual labor. I don't have to train." And so I just did it. The first 5K, because they signed up for one, I was like, "All right, got it." I did it in 32 minutes. And then vomited as soon as I crossed the finish line. And then I think a month later we did another one, and then another month we did a third one. The first 3 5Ks I ever ran, I threw up after them all. And then a year of 5Ks, so maybe 12 at the most, probably not because I don't think we ran in the winter. I broke my 30-minute time. I got 29 minutes. And it was just to prove that I don't have to train to be able to run.
But why would you want to prove that? That's like
it's just a statement.
Okay, but we want character development. I need to know why this is happening.
It's because
he said so he can will himself to win or
he said, I'm gonna run a 5K in under 30 minutes.
Yeah, and that number was meaningless to begin with.
Do you know?
But that's the
right or.
So, do you know why
do you know
a
runners?
4-minute mile? Do you know the story of a 4-minute mile?
You mean like the year after everyone was doing it?
Yeah, like
Or
20 people have ever done it. It's not that easy to do. No, because the guy said, I'm going to run a 4-minute mile.
yeah.
And so he just did it.
But,
Well,
like,
not just did it, but he
so-
trained and like he's determined to go run a 4-minute mile because he decided,
anytime-
that could be done.
I bet he was running from
Anytime
problems.
I see someone who's like, "Oh, I'm training for my 5K or my half marathon and things like that," I hate those people because they're like, "Oh, I got to start doing this and doing this." Yo, I'm gonna say I was at least 280 when I ran my first half marathon, and it was couch to half marathon. I got up that morning, I had a smoothie, and then I ran 13.1 miles. There was no like, "Oh, I trained for months on months." Nope, I just like.
Congratulations.
I can do it. It's not hard. You just get up and do.
I would
wait.
never do that.
I don't, but I
You're not
don't
gonna go,
like
"I had
the
to wait like a half
attitude
hour."
of it all.
It was like 40 degrees out after there. I was waiting and cold.
I don't think
It's
those
not-
fire blankets hold heat.
Hold your that fire blanket. What are they called?
Heat blankets,
Heat blanket? I forget.
silver,
what they're called.
reflective.
The
Yeah.
silver ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hold
Body heat
your.
blankets?
I thought they were fire
Yeah.
blankets.
No,
I thought
fire
they gave them to
blankets are
people
what you
after
put
they got
on
out of a fire.
fires.
Well,
No, you're gonna have a bad time if you try to escape fire with
Fire.
But
No, fire
Chris,
blankets
the
are
point
what.
is the attitude.
Say
what?
Like,
But why do you
Like,
want
I mean,
that
like-
attitude?
but
That,
so
like,
even
you
that's
can
the thing,
do a
but-
thing without
wait.
practicing. Like that's
No,
the same
exactly.
of like the
So it's-
conversation about written.
So
The
this
added-
whole thing right here, the whole Green Lanternness, the whole
Okay.
willpower to do things, that's
Uh-huh.
all it is. You don't need to
You need
like
willpower,
train
not-
you just
yeah.
need to just be like, I'm gonna do
Okay.
it, and it's
Well,
done.
that I can
that's
get on
my
board with.
attitude.
No,
The mind
so
over
when-
matter. The world is mind.
All right, so Alex, when you run the Boston Marathon, you're just gonna will
You're not
yourself.
gonna be able to
qualify.
yeah. When people ask me about running, it's like how you do that. Like it's like I decide I'm gonna run this, so I do it. That's it. Like you say
You're
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
do this.
stop.
Yeah. It's like, did I finish this? No. Well, then I'm gonna keep going.
Right?
Yeah,
I'll
Like, is that
stop.
not is that not how it works? No, no.
I-
So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
brute
I'm
strength
tired.
and pure
This is-
determination.
This is dumb.
Yeah.
I'm going
And
home.
so-
I'll eat
no.
something.
No,
That's how
then
I
you
do it.
lose.
So the-
You're gonna let yourself win. You're gonna lose to yourself.
Well, that's why I got other victories to take, which is the child raising. So it's like, yeah, I lose with exercising for now, but I'll be back. Round 3,
So, but like,
that'll be the winner.
but so then this thing, like in a one-on-one competition, I'll give up because it's like, all right, well, I've already lost. I'm not gonna like put all the effort into just be losing. But like if it's like a against yourself competition, it's like, yeah, I mean, I can't lose that.
I guess
So
Can't
all
let
you gotta
half
do is
spend.
finish it. You don't have to
Yeah.
finish
Like,
it fast.
there was
You don't have
the-
to finish it slow. Just finish.
There's the 5K that Ben made me throw up in the middle of the race because he paced himself directly behind me, and so I tried to be faster than him, and like, I guess it was the middle mile marker, the 1.5 miles. I saw it, and so I hurried up to it, thinking it was the final, and then like Ben was still behind me,
Behind you.
and then when I saw it was 1.5 miles, my body was like, dude, and like while running, I started to throw up mid-run. And then Ben passed me, and then I just had to keep going. And I think I got like 31 minutes in that one.
I'd like to move away from throw up stories for a minute. Flizzo, do you
I mean, like,
know of anything that happened this week in history?
Do you know anyone that threw up this week?
Please tell me don't.
snap. Wait, time
this
out.
week,
Not
I
to-
don't actually.
I
You know
think
what
Alex
happened
said
this
someone
week in
threw up.
history?
What's that?
Well,
No, Eminem was born.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Marshall.
Yeah.
I
I don't
got
really do the births because I think that's just weird. It's like, all right, it's
I
not
got married.
historic.
I just happened to see
The
a video
birthday
about him, and today
Typically
is
isn't historic.
October
so-
17th is his birthday.
As I said
This
before,
week-
like
someone
if
got-
he's not rapping, he's not relevant.
Someone got bit by a penguin
Alright.
this week in history.
Oh.
That is true. They got a little too close. Got
Well,
bit.
what's
Yeah.
the prepared written
So
this week?
Speaking of penguins,
Oh.
this week in history, a place that doesn't have any penguins, Alaska,
Oh. Was born.
Well, the polar bears
was
ate them all.
formally transferred over to the United States from Russia. So earlier, United States bought it from Russia, and then it was formally transferred over this week in history in 1967, and then eventually it became a state.
Hmm.
But that wasn't until much later. Also, speaking of United States territories, October 18th, 1898, American troops fighting the Spanish-American War raised the United States flag in Puerto Rico, and we claimed that over that formerly Spanish colony. So we
if we never
it's
did
kind
that,
of
we
like
wouldn't
they
have
were
the
looking
little
for
giants.
independence, and we were looking for a spot to
So-
hang out.
Spot for some shady activities to launder through.
And then there's
The
been this
annexation of Puerto
tango
Rico.
of them not being a state,
Yeah.
them becoming a state, them being independent. And actually, this year in elections, they have in their election, I think status quo isn't on the agenda now, so it's not remained the same way it is. It's independence. It's independence with like a shared type of, almost like a citizenship type deal, or it's true statehood. So Puerto Rico, but it's non-binding, so it's not like if they vote it for it and they say statehood, it automatically happens. There's other things that have to happen, but I mean, they've had this vote several times.
Yeah,
So
I'd like to see some shaking it up.
Is Puerto Rico a territory? Do they count as one of the like Guam or?
Yeah. So the unique thing about Puerto Rico is if you are Puerto Rican, and you come to the United States, then you have all the full benefits of being a United States citizen. You can vote, all that stuff. But when you go back to Puerto Rico, then you can't do that stuff. Like, so that's why there's so many Puerto Ricans like living in the United States, because they just can come over. They don't need to do any. There's no paperwork. They're United States citizens through and through. So just their area doesn't have the same protections and amenities that the states have, which has really been screwing them over with the recent like hurricanes and stuff, natural disasters that hit them. They keep borrowing money because they don't get the federal funding that a state would. So they kind of get themselves in trouble. It can't be forgiven, just like a state kind of could have certain deals and stuff made.
That all makes sense. I'm moving on to the Bible
wait.
now.
Does Africa have the highest population of penguins?
I think
So this is going to be in Genesis 37. It's going to be verses 5 through 8. Reading Joseph and his coat of many colors. Jacob is his father. You might know him from Jacob and Esau. Jacob made this coat for Joseph because he was the son of his old age, and his brethren hated him for it. So here's Genesis 37, verses 5 through 8. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams, and for his words. So they then used that as justification to throw him in a pit and sell him into slavery. What's that?
I said bury him, but yeah.
No, they didn't. One of their brothers, I think, talks them out of killing him. And that kickstarts the events that will lead to fulfilling the prophecy where Joseph is going to then rule over them in Egypt. So he gets sold to some, like, what does it say? Ishmaelites? And they take him to Egypt, and he meets like a governor and impresses him, makes lots of money. And that's what I talked about last time, where Jacob was going to Egypt, and he had the 66 souls. And so he's going to meet with Joseph, but he didn't know it was Joseph. Ooh, there's a twist ending. Stay tuned. All right, what do you want to hear about? The philosophy
I don't
idea.
think the Bible has any twist endings.
I don't know,
Antarctica has the most penguins.
Continue to read Revelations, and you'll
Antarctica
never know
has the
what
most
it
penguins?
says.
South Africa is
just
third.
Number 2 for the 50th idea, or 50 ideas of philosophy ideas you should know, is Plato's Cave. We've talked this to death, so there's not really anything to say on it, but this book does mention the theory of forms, which Plato believed in. There were like perfect forms of everything. There's a perfect form of justice, a perfect form of truth, and these are what we strive for, is that perfect form. And you've probably heard Platonic solids, and that's what dice, and you roll around. are like the cube is a platonic solid, the isohedron, etc. So those are Plato's forms.
So Plato
Cell has a
believed
perfect
in
form.
perfect forms, but then Play-Doh has no form?
Yes. All is flux, shapeless.
Play-Doh has all forms.
Exactly.
That's true too.
But Plato believed in everything having a singular perfect form, whereas Play-Doh is...
And while we're on philosophers, I can get to Cicero.
Be like water.
Yes, be like water. Where water goes, it goes. The Ben, are you aware of Cicero? Have you read anything about him or know anything of him?
I think it was Cephorus. Who's the guy that pushes the rock up in the... No, one-winged angel?
Sisyphus. Yeah, Sisyphus.
We can talk about the one-winged angel if you want.
I don't know anything about him, though, but I'd like to hear more about him someday. Yeah, Sisyphus is a myth, and Cicero was a real person around Julius Caesar's time. It's said that after the deed was done, Brutus raised his sword and shouted out Cicero's name. But Cicero should become your best friend, Ben. I think you'd really like him. And he's got a bunch of quotes.
He's
lead
dead,
poisoning?
though.
Well, all of those
you
guys
can be friends with people in your mind.
That's what the downfall of Rome.
Their pipes were made of lead.
Their pipes are made of
water pipes.
They started hallucinating towards the end of the fall of Rome. They were hallucinating from lead poisoning. They saw things that weren't there.
These people be your friend. The life of the dead is placed in the memory of the living, was a quote by Cicero.
Like in Coco?
Sure.
Sounds very Day of the Dead there.
He also said the authority of those who teach is often an obstacle to those who want to learn. And politicians are not born, they are excreted. So he wrote an epic poem about himself, and people were like, oh, Cicero, you're so full of yourself. So what he did, he wrote a sequel.
So
and that's some pretty I love Benny behavior.
I mean, like what you like.
Yourself. Hey, speaking of Ben, would you like to tell the people what the answer to this card is? What 24. It'll all equal? Yes.
24.
It will equal 24. The numbers are
That's it.
6,
always
6, 7, and 5.
You add them all.
Wow. You know what it is? It's 6 times 4.
Well, no. Flizzo said you add them all up, and I think that works.
Yeah, but...
I had a method of 6 times 6 minus 7 minus 5.
Play on hard mode.
7 minus 6 is 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 times 6. It's always 4 times 6.
That's just how your brain works, man. So,
my brain is kind
final
of broken,
thought.
So
I love you like Benny loves Benny. Check out Mamo's 3 Boutique on Etsy for all your Philly Pride needs. Use promo code WRECKING to save 10%. Find Flizzo on Instagram. That's PHLIZO. Follow Alex on Google Maps. All links in the description. My website, drawingmylifeaway.com. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.
Follow Alex around his house, too. Adios.
Adios.